chest high.
Yeah, 3 fingers. And your other boys are, what are they?
Tyler and Trevor.
Tyler and Trevor. Okay. You ready? All right. This is a recording. What's the date today, Miles?
Yes.
Yes, today is October the 26th, 2013, and we're here with a bunch of guys that all loved your dad, and Tyler's and Trevor's dad as well. Thomas, sorry. That's Jonathan. All right.
That's his son.
A lot of these guys, like myself, when we got to high school at 10th grade, we had come from 2, maybe 3 different elementary schools, right?
Yeah. We all went to different schools together.
That's right. That's right. And 2 junior highs. Thank you. It's a good thing the camera's not on you. Anyway, I didn't know your dad that well. I didn't really know him until got into 10th grade. And then there were, 600 students in our 10th grade?
487.
Plus or minus. Yes. Thank you, Miles. So I didn't know him as well as some of these guys that went through, all the schools with him. But I can tell you this. One thing your dad had that surpassed the rest of us was a laugh. When your dad started laughing, his smile just ate up his whole face, and he'd look at you, and there'd be no way that you could do anything but laugh with him. Now, he might even been laughing at you, but the way he did it, you were still going to be laughing with Chuck. Glad to know you. We miss your dad. Who's next?
David, you want to go?
Well, I first met your dad in 1963. He lived like 4 doors down from me, and we both went to Gillette Junior High, or elementary school, and then we went to Lamar, and then we both went to Murchison because in the 8th grade they split us up. So a lot of us went to Murchison, and a lot of the kids stayed and went to Lamar, and then we all got together in McCallum. So I used to either go down to his house or he'd come down to our house. And our house usually had pool, basketball, we played ping pong, and Chuck would always come down and beat us all. He was so good. He could just pick something up and he could just, and then after a while we just didn't want to play him anymore. But, like David was saying, he had an infectious laugh. I mean, he kept me in stitches all the time. I mean, he was just funny. But the one thing is when his mother would come down to find him, boy, he knew to go back home. So, but both his parents, I don't know if you ever remember his parents, but his mother was a really good cook. So I used to go down to the house a lot, and we used to have meals. And believe it or not, his dad was probably funnier than Chuck. He could sit there. I mean, he was set in his ways, but he was, but
He had a dry sense.
he did have a very dry sense of humor, and I think that's where Chuck got it too. And then, like I was telling you on the golf course, Mike, his brother, and I would used to play street football with Chuck, because Chuck would always pick the teams, and I never was on his team. But I'd always be with your uncle, and we would always beat them every time. So then we pretty much didn't see each other after high school because, we kind of went our separate ways. But then, every time I come home for like Thanksgiving to visit my parents, he'd be down at his parents, and so we'd still get together and just kind of sit and just kind of keep up with each other. But then I didn't really get to see him until, the time that I saw him at the golf course, and he told me that he just had surgery. And I was going, really? And the one thing also about Chuck, Dad, was his confidence. He was a very confident person. It was almost like we'd go do something and somebody go, oh, I can't do that. He'd look at you and he'd go, yeah, you can. So, I have to hand it to him. I mean, there's a lot of things good that we did because he encouraged me, to go try new things. So that's one thing I really miss about him. So your dad was definitely a class person. and it was really an honor to know. So, anyways.
I think Don.
Yeah, I knew Chuck a lot. I can verify with what David was saying about he used to go to David's house sometimes, and a lot of times his mother would just yell for him to come on, if I remember right.
She didn't even have to yell.
And-
She had that look.
Yeah, he'd like, come on, I gotta go. So, and like I said, we all went through a lot of Gillette, myself, and had that same separation, came back to high school. Chuck and I would never hung out much as friends in high school or anything, but we played baseball. 3 years we played baseball together. He was a good catcher, great catcher. Had a lot of fun doing that. My ex-wife and girlfriend at the time, out of college, we used to go on little trips down the coast and just had a good time. Like everybody said, he's fun. He was fun. Everybody just had a good time, and good-natured guy. And I guess it's kind of sad, but I guess you were there. The last time we played golf was at Norris Williams, and Chuck was on our team, and I'm glad I had that opportunity to play with him. That was cool, and he had a great dad.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything?
And he got a great mom too, I can tell. That's for damn sure.
Married way above himself.
I'm Lee Delahousie, and my earliest memories of Chuck started when we were 11 years old. 11 and 12, we played together on the same Little League team. Excuse me. And he was a catcher and really good, and he was a perfect teammate. And there were 3 reasons for that. The first, he was really good. I mean, you were really happy when his time came up to bat. And number 2, he was a terrific competitor. He was happy-go-lucky a lot of the times, but between the lines, nobody played any harder. And you could pretty much take the uniforms without the faces and know which one was his, because he had the dirtiest uniform at the end of every game I ever played. He played really hard. And the third thing was he always had a smile on his face. He brought everyone up around him, and that's the thing that I remember most about him. I guess the other thing, I have a semi-story that I wasn't a part of, but I heard the talk about it afterwards, and this guy may have to help, because the story as I remember it was that in senior year in football, Chuck hurt his right shoulder playing football. So he really couldn't throw when baseball season came around. And so he really wasn't able to catch. He was able to pinch hit here and there and play a little bit, but wasn't able to throw anymore. So our baseball coach, back then, baseball coaches were really football coaches, assistant football coaches. They weren't really baseball coaches. So he wasn't the sharpest tack on the wall. And his name was Jim Acker. And so being in the dugout all the time, Chuck kind of took over as coach. And I'm not going to have a punchline to this story much, because other guys know it better than I do. But the part that I remember most was him being in the dugout. Of course, neither he nor the coach wanted anybody else to know that he was coaching the team. So he would get relatively close proximity to the coach, and periodically Acker would look around, he'd go. Of course, that was signal for bunt. I don't know if I'm on camera, but he had another one for steal, another one for hit and run, etc. Like I say, I don't know the joke, but I do know that whenever he told the stories of him calling the games, I was in stitches most of the time. I don't know, maybe Don knows more of the stories since he was in the dugout, but I wasn't. Oh, okay, all right. Well, at any rate, I guess to summarize, I just thought the world of Chuck, and he was a terrific teammate and a pleasure to be around, and really an honor to know.
Can I interject something really quick on that? Because he'd always do a good impersonation of Coach Acker. Yeah. He would sit there, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. And that would keep us in stitches. But also, he learned how he learned how to throw a knuckleball. I used to pitch myself, and he and I used to throw the ball. And so then all of a sudden, he started throwing these knuckleballs at me. They're going all over the place. And I'm going, you need to teach me how to, because I learned a lot from him. Because he would pick something, like I said before, he would pick something up, and he would get good at it immediately. So he'd look at something and just pick it up, and like he was doing it all the time. But anyways, thank you. Anybody else?
Enjoyed playing golf with you today. That was really a blast. Thank you so much. And you were a blessing to us today. And that's what I really wanted to tell you about. Anyway, I'd just like to share one thing, because everybody that has talked about sort of the same things and everything with your dad. Our outings at the golf course, actually, I got to know more about your dad just at our golfing outings. And the fact that I shared with you earlier that living in Houston from 80 to 85, I was at Hearthstone also. So, and it's changed dramatically since that time. But I just wanted to share with you that when I was at the services, that the account about a particular favorite gospel in a Bible, and that was never opened for years and years and years. And then, my goodness, after that gospel was open, there was something awaiting in that gospel. And I took that memory when my nephew joined the Marines. And so there was a Marine Bible, and I took exactly from what I got from that service, and how y'all instilled that. And I did this with my nephew, and what a blessing that was, and what a joy. And he's gone on to be with the Lord now, but I'll always cherish that memory. And thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I love the round of golf today. I'm going the wrong way with this. There you go, Miles.
Anybody else? Wayne? Oh, I may need to lean on you for some memories, because Wayne and I, and what we called Chuck is Chuck, or Reagor, is normally we refer to him as either Reagor or Chuck. And Wayne and I and Chuck spent a year one summer in a small house in Maynard, Texas.
Oh my gosh, I've heard a million stories about that.
Then you tell them.
No.
I can't remember any of them. I know we were pretty good kids, though.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part.
One story I do remember is that they had a lot of mice in this house, and it was almost impossible to stay in the house, so we rarely showered there. We'd go to our parents' house and shower, or eat somewhere else, and we'd sit in the living room watching this small black and white TV with a BB gun shooting mice as they ran across the floor.
I'm glad I don't remember that.
Wasn't it your dad's house?
This is my dad's.
Oh,
His
your
dad.
dad's.
Yeah, it was Wayne's dad.
I
It had nothing to do with the house.
yeah. I can remember, as David Thomas said, that your dad was the most confident person that I had ever met. And I do know that if we were doing something, if we were playing golf and there was a shot, he could sit there and say, I'm going to make this shot. And it could be a 50-foot putt, and he'd make it. Or if it's a pool shot, he would say, I'm going to jump this ball and off a bank, and and he would do it. You know, he'd be playing around, but when he decided that he was going to do something impossible, he would say he was going to do it, then he would do it.
Cool. Good story. So
You want to tell him the Decker Lake story?
that's where I was going to go next. The other thing was, besides Maynard, was Wayne and I, again, worked with Chuck out at for the city. Chuck got us the job. He knew all the places to work during the summers during high school. Yeah, high school. Yeah, that's the ticket. So he would.
It was actually after the freshman year of college.
I stand corrected. So we're working for the city of Austin at the power plants, and one memory was that we were in a steam room where they boiled the water, created steam, it generated electricity through the turbines, and then blew the steam out through these 400-foot steam pipes. They're about that big around. And they went way up in the sky. You can see them. They're still down there at the power plant on Lake Austin. At least 400 feet, wouldn't you say? Maybe 500, 1,000 feet. Anyway, they gave us a little wire brush about that big that you get at Lowe's to clean these steels. So we crawl in this room about this size, but it was only about this tall. You couldn't stand up in it. So we spent several days in this room cleaning, 5 or 6 inches of these 400-foot steam tubes. And I thought it was funny at the time. Yeah. And the other thing was we were painting the power plants. That was our other big job. And then they sent us out to Decker Lake for the primo job of painting the dam for the rest of the summer, about 6 weeks, I'd guess. I don't remember, something like that. So we didn't have any paint. So we got a little board with the dry brushes, right, on these big giant beams of the dam. So we began to bring our fishing poles and a little bit of brewski. So we were out there one day about from, I don't know, it was several hundred yards. It was wasn't a quarter of a mile, about an eighth of a mile from our paintbrushes when we see the boss's truck drive up. And we're out there with fishing poles on the dam. So we hit the dusty trail as fast as we can to get over to the dry paintbrushes and the empty buckets of paint and fake it. So when he gets up there, we're painting the dam. And then meanwhile, there's one of those big city coolers for water full of beer. There's like a case of beer in there. And the guy comes up and we fake him out. It's not, really hard to fake out this group of supervisors. So we got away with the painting thing, and then he walks over to the ice bucket and he goes, I bet that ice bucket's full of beer. And Reagor goes, yeah, sure is. Take a look in there. See if you find some. Said, all right, and bluffed him right out. The guy didn't look in there, full of beer. We would all been fired. Yeah, and he always has some kind of little, he knows something look on his face. Doesn't he? He always had kind of a, that thing. That's about all I have. I don't know. Do you want to ask anybody any questions or anything, or
You
anybody else
have
want
more
to?
stories about Maynard, because Chuck, I remember telling me some story about the middle of the night and driving out there and a truck breaking down, and somebody's dad had to come pull y'all out or something.
I'd like to plead the Fifth Amendment from this point on about Maynard.
Inebriated to remember that story.
Lucy has a story about Maynard.
Oh yeah, was Reagor out there that night? We did used to go out there and have we call campfire sing-alongs. We like to call them.
Yeah, this particular circumstance was a science project in high school where we were collecting bugs.
That's right.
So
Yes, that was very educational.
the idea was to put in the middle of the night, put a spotlight out and hang a sheet over a wire and then collect bugs. Well, we did that for a while, and
30 seconds.
so ultimately we ended up swimming in the pond, and then decided that we wanted to go grab something to eat in Maynard downtown. So we took off running toward the town, and I guess I was a bit disoriented because I went at a 45-degree angle into the barbed wire fence. And I've got the scars here.
There it is.
These are the 3 that you can see now. Actually, it goes all the way down. Yeah, you wouldn't want to see that.
Okay, all right.
Tearing his clothes up, though.
It was a miracle he didn't lose his clothing somehow.
It was a miracle. He didn't tear any of his
My
nothing.
clothes were completely intact.
Well, back to Maynard, we did have wacky races. Everybody remember the wacky races?
Yeah, we did that in Northwest Hills as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd see, Chuck had a 56 Chevy. That was it.
Dodge.
55 Dodge. I had a 56 Plymouth station wagon.
Well, now, and you were now wait a minute. Y'all remember this. Miles was the first person to ever have a car telephone. That's right. Do you remember that?
No.
He'd drive around. He'd have this old yellow headset right here, and the cord dangling down. He'd just driving down this old piece of junk station wagon, talking on the phone.
A lot of these memories are either fabricated or enhanced.
I like the one when we were, because we get out early, so Miles and I go to a holiday house and get a drink or something. I drive around before we see the basketball practice, and we were on Hunting Lane, headed back toward the school there at Burnt Road, the light. We were sitting there, and I'm a passenger, and light turns green, guy honks behind us. Come on. And Miles does, he cuts the engine off, gets out of the car, walks around the front, opens the hood. Waits till, turns up, he comes back, gets in, he goes across on the yellow.
Where was I? Where was I on all these stories?
Usually in the middle.
Yeah.
But Reagor he was in the wacky races real good with that 56 as we go all over town. And the deal was to get the lead, you had to tag the other car with your bumper. And they weren't always at 0 miles per hour. So it was kind of interesting days.
Whitcomb paid for my car.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I paid $200 for that car. And one afternoon playing wacky races, Whitcomb ran in the back of me, and I got more than that from the insurance. Wacky races were good things.
They were, for some of us.
You talking about the taxi cab?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Taxi? Well, you used to get so mad when we used to do that. Hey, taxi!
Oh, well. I don't know. I think we're out of stories. I don't know. We miss him, too. It was enjoyable to have him with us out here. Somebody already said the story, but Steve Rosenbaum was talking about Chuck one time, and it was Lee. He said the same thing Lee said, that he was always he was a real competitor winner. He'd see a situation and he'd always figure out the key way to get it done. The Steve's story was sort of about stealing second base. He'd figure out a way to move himself forward to get in scoring position. So that was something that was really good quality about him.
He was like that at work.
Was he?
Yeah, he didn't, when he started his own company, he didn't care how, if he told somebody, you need to do this, he didn't care how you got it done. He wasn't micromanaging at all. It had been done to him, and when he worked at Beal and Company for years, and he was not ever going to treat anybody that way. And so he would just say, all right, here's what you need to, what I need. And he'd give it to you. And he didn't care how you got there. You just, because he figured everybody's going to get there. As long as you got to the end result, he was fine with that. And, that's an unusual quality. And so.
Well, and how compassionate, as far as also if a deal went through or whatever, and something happened, he would come right back and say, well, what can you do? Well, I can only do this. And he said, are you good with that?
Yeah.
If you're good with it, I'm good with that. I mean, that's mercy. That's compassion. Even in the business world, you don't see a whole lot of that these days.
Yeah.
So, I remember that.
Yeah. He was a very unique person in that respects. Feel so blessed. And each one of my kids, this one thinks, sometimes I think he thinks that he's not like his dad because he didn't get to know Chuck, but I don't think he realizes how much is just nature, and he is. My oldest son said to me the other day, out of all of us, I see so much of Daddy and Thomas, so anyway.
Well, he chipped in real good today.
It was fun playing.
Chipped in.
Enjoy it.
Jimmy gave him a little bit of
By the way, did you say you were going to chip in and then you did it?
It was in my head.
Thank you. Get it done. There you go.
Enjoy it, Thomas.
Well,
Glad you made it. You're welcome anytime.
You gave me some good advice right before.
Well, I think this man here was probably the guy giving advice.
Back over that way.
Thank you all.
All right. You're welcome. We'll do it again in the spring. Okay. And cut. This is always exciting.
What kind of?
Okay. Well, was it really 8 under and 9 under? We got 9 under.
We were 8.
You were 8. We're okay. So we took first place. So we give out the second place trophies.
Well, no beer cans this year?
No, we're all out. I quit drinking till this afternoon. All right, second place. Congratulations. Come out here. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, it's okay. Congratulations. Yeah.
Here
Here you go, Jack.
Honorary.
Congratulations. Yeah, it's very formal.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. You really did a great job. Wayne, you really good job. That was really good.
We earned it.
Okay. Now, first place with an unprecedented 9 under par. Official hats. Congratulations. You have to step over here. I think you had a picture.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
that's very good. Okay. I get one. Shake my own hand. Oh, thank you. Good job, Don.
Thank you.
It's very good. Obligatory. I'm going to put these on YouTube. And Mr. David Thomas, congratulations. I have to get this figured out here before it's over. Oh, what are we doing? Oh, there we go. See, I guess that's it then. Oh, no. Here you go, Thomas. Nice job. First place. First time. Good job. You got it. Oh, long drive is very well done because I know I boomed one out there.
Yeah.
You really,
Yeah, 125.
well, that's pretty good. 150 and 125, 275, not bad. And now closest to the pin, Don. Oh, 2 prizes today. Congratulations. Okay, until we meet again.
We got mine.
Excuse me, can we have a moment? You're going to be teeing off here in just a second, aren't you?
We're
Waiting for you to tee off here? Well, we just all wanted to wish you a big, happy, good luck on the back
Well,
nine.
I appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice day. Okay.